Greetings and welcome back. Welcome back to my channel for another video. First and foremost, I would like to wish each and every one of you a very safe, happy, and prosperous new year. Now, for many, of course, I am a little early with that. However, we never know what turns, maneuvers we may face. So I would rather be early than late. And for my supporters from abroad, I also wish you a very happy, safe, and prosperous new year. Keeping in line with a happy new year is to be more cognizant of decisions that we make. Since 2020, many people, including yours truly, have had a barrage of challenges. Some have bounced back. Some are still teetering in the balance. And for those of you that are, continue, if you are a believer, to stand in faith and do what you can do to make things a little bit easier. One of those things I would implore and will continue until I take my last breath. Always conduct your own independent research, and don't just stop at one site. Cross-reference, because as I've said many times, things may change. Information may have been delivered inaccurately. Some information and or statements may be recanted, rescinded. Some information may be redacted. So it is at your best interest and the best interests of those closest to you to ascertain as much information as possible. Now, as we are on the heels of a new year, 2024, many people are seeking to invest, and those that are already investing and reading stocks, participating in stocks. Please be mindful that unfortunately there are unscrupulous people out there that may use your lack of knowledge and perhaps pull or tug at your heartstrings. And when it's all said and done, you may be holding a very heavy and hefty bag. Now, before I begin with this story, let me provide my disclaimer, which is the Fair Use Act disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which states, allowance is made for fair use of copyrighted material for purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, education, teaching, and or scholarship. It provides for the legal, non-licensed citation and or incorporation of copyrighted material by others, which might be infringing under other circumstances. So, now that formality is out the way, today's video is highlighting Janay White. Now, many of you may have seen some stories floating around about Miss White, who is deemed as a well-known entrepreneur from Jacksonville. However, allegedly has been accused of scamming over thousands of dollars as a result of extensive bad business practices that led to a large scale scam. Over this year and prior years, we've seen many videos on scams and frauds. So let us look at a quick definition of scam. A dishonest scheme, a fraud. An example, an insurance scam. And you'll see several synonyms: fraud, swindle, fraudulent scheme, racket, trick, diddle, con, and you can see the others. As I mentioned, Miss White has been accused of scamming, and much of this has to do with investors. And this is really a sad story because Miss White came on the scene, and again, I implore you to conduct your own research, was formerly, according to reports, a homeless mother of 2 children who worked her way up to owning 8 businesses, to include approximately 50 Airbnbs by attaining financial freedom. However, unfortunately, this fraud paints Miss White in a very bad light. One of the individuals who allege that she was scammed for over $10,000 due was Rayvon Griffin. Griffin stated, according to reports, that she, like other investors, and before I go on with that, an investor, a retail or individual investor is someone who invests in securities and assets on their own, usually in smaller quantities, they typically buy stocks in round. Miss Griffin, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, alleges that she, like other investors, was made to believe she would be guaranteed. That's the operative word here. And I would say that anytime you hear the word guarantee, please make sure that you dot all of your I's, cross all of your T's. This guarantee was laced with the receipt of properties that would be ready for renovation and later ready to sell. However, according to Griffin, Janay White never came through on her end of the deal. Now, I can say throughout my years and dealings with certain people, and keep in mind, there are some people who are truly gifted in selling stories, selling hopes, selling dreams. But anything, and I know this is cliche, that sounds too good to be true, anything that sounds remotely close to being too good to be true, you may want to pay close attention to it and walk away. Now I am going to present a quick video, and this is fair use, that sums up what I've spoken about in reference to Miss Janay White. And keep in mind, as I've mentioned, Rayvon Griffin has not been the only quote unquote victim here, as we will see shortly. And this is courtesy of First Coast News.
About their experiences with a prominent Jacksonville entrepreneur. At least 50 people have now filed police reports with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office about Janay White and her businesses. We're on your side tonight with a closer look at what this case could look like. Riley Phillips joins us live now from Jacksonville with more about this. Riley?
Yes, I spoke with an expert today who says a fraud case like this will be difficult to prove, and it takes a lot of concrete evidence to show that money is missing. TV's Robinson is an entrepreneur herself and was looking for new business opportunities when she learned about Janay White's real estate mentorship program.
So we were supposed to acquire the property and flip it, rehab it, and sell it, and then split the property.
She ended up investing $10,000 through the program, but she says there were problems with the home and she doesn't know where the money went for the renovations.
I'm at a loss. I've actually just did a consultation with the bankruptcy attorney. This is going to have detrimental, long-lasting effects.
Robinson is one of dozens of people who have filed police reports about their experiences with White's businesses. The crime and safety expert Mark Bachman says investigators will have their work cut out for them when it comes to building a fraud case.
It's difficult because you've got to make sure you have the acts that fall under that particular violation that you're looking at charging the individual with, and make sure that it's not a civil violation.
Bachman says investigators will have to look through financial documents, bank records, and trace where the money was going. Then it's up to the state attorney's office to determine if the case would hold up in court.
If it's so complicated that the prosecutor may have a hard time understanding what's being pursued by the investigators, they have to in turn convince a jury of that if it ever goes to a trial. So you really have to put some sweat equity into it, or some energy into investigative power into it to get to that point and ramp up to charging the individual.
When we spoke with
So that was just a small snippet of the news report, again, courtesy of First Coast News. Now, according to Black Enterprise, and you can go to that site, blackenterprise.com, and they state that so far there is a Facebook group, again, this is all alleged, that has potentially identified over 9,400 victims of said scam. Janay White, however, countered and stated she doesn't even know that many people, so that is impossible. Which brings me back to what I said earlier as far as information. Always cross-check and cross-reference. Now, according to one of the investor's attorney, again, allegedly, Janay White may have, and again, this is according to Chris Dempsey, an attorney of one of the investors, stated that White may have scammed over $200,000 from various investors. Again, investor, a retail or individual investor, is someone who invests in securities, assets on their own, usually in smaller quantities. They typically buy stocks in rounds. Janay White has remained unswayed and urges people not to let a few complaints. Now, she's saying few. However, if you remember, quick video, there have been at least, according to First Coast News, at least 50 police reports filed. Finally, White asserted, as I was talking earlier, that she would urge people not to let a few complaints, the positive things that she has done for her community, there are many investors, however, who do not agree with that sentiment. And as we forge ahead, as I mentioned earlier, to 2024, be mindful of those, and this is just my opinion, looking for those to help repair credit, those involved with investing in properties to flip and later sell. Now, while I believe that there are plenty reputable companies and individuals out there that can attempt and assist you in those areas, there are many, unfortunately, looking for a huge payday. And as I mentioned before, many find out about these unfortunate situations. They have already become victims, and unfortunately will take time. It will take time for them to be able to recoup their funds, if that's even possible. So again, if something doesn't feel right, and we know that feeling, make sure you pay attention to all the red flags. Thank you for tuning in. And if you like this video and any other videos, please give it a big thumbs up and leave your comments. Again, wishing you and yours a very safe, happy, and prosperous New Year.